Oh, there you
Hey,
go.
there we go. Okay. Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. It's me, Comic Crack, with everybody's favorite commentator in everybody's videos, Mr. Jay Z. How's it going, Jay Z?
Hi. Good. How you doing?
Good, good, super good. We were just chatting a little bit. As I'm sure you guys know, Jay Z's had a bit of changes in his life, and he's been here and there and back and forth. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Had some adventures. I
yep.
didn't tell you actually the sort of crazy one that happened even aside from having a baby was right before that. Um, our house got we had a drive-by shooting.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, so it was pretty crazy. It was like full on, yeah, like bullets flying around and
Are you serious?
yeah, it was totally intense. It was like we were living in a little war zone for about a month and a half, and then it's all over now. But yeah, it was really
So was there actually shots fired at your house, like hit the
yeah,
house?
yeah. Like there was like
Holy crap, dude.
yeah, it was yeah. We were just like watching a DVD, something totally stupid. It was like it just came home, and then yeah, like we started hearing these firecracker kind of sounds,
Yeah.
and and then I was like, I think this is gunfire, and so we
Come on.
went to some other place in our house. We're like, oh, we'll be safer in this corner of the room, right?
Yeah.
And then yeah, and then I saw there was like a bullet hole in the wall, like above where
Holy
I was sitting, and like, yeah, oh yeah, it's totally intense. So that was pretty mental. And
yeah.
then yeah, and then we had a baby, so that was also intense in a different way.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, so it
So,
was.
and I thought Winnipeg was supposed to be the rough part of Canada.
I
Like,
know. There you go.
shit going down in the Hammer.
Yeah, it was intense. It was a little bit.
You know what it was in relation to? Like, what was
Yeah, I
was
mean,
there gang
we think
activity
that
in your area?
our neighbors at the time we think were drug dealers, and
Oh,
I think that the the guys who got sent to send them a message got the wrong address, and
oh my God.
so then yeah, a couple weeks later their house got shot up, and then a couple weeks after that their car got lit on fire.
Oh my God.
It was
Wow.
just totally intense. It was a totally intense, it was just bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can honestly say I've never had any drive-by shootings that
Yeah,
where I've been living anyway. So
yeah.
holy shit,
That's
man.
It's
Well,
totally
thank
weird.
God you guys were okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, could have been it for Hangouts.
Yeah, yeah, that's okay. I would have come down and taken good care of all your comic
Oh
collection.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we would have had a moment on a hangout or something. Memories of
Yeah.
JD.
Oh, anyway,
Well, holy crap, man, that's crazy.
yeah. So it's been a
Sorry.
pretty crazy few months.
Yeah,
Yeah, this year, 2017's been odd.
really. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's been like ever since that stuff, it's been quiet, and then now we've got he was born like maybe another 2 weeks after the car fire or so.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's been nothing since then. It's been totally calm. I
Do
mean,
those people still like?
outside it's been totally calm. Inside
Yeah.
it's been a different kind of intensity.
Yeah. Yeah. Do
Yeah.
they still live next door to you? The same
No,
people?
they moved.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a little. I think when the car thing, I think freaked them out
Hmm.
because that meant that they knew, I think, a little more than they probably thought they knew about who they were and all that. So
Ah, okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Good Lord. Wow.
yeah. So it's one off the bucket list, right?
Yeah, I've totally been involved in a drive-by.
Yeah,
The Hammer. I love Hamilton, but that's
yeah.
crazy.
It was. I mean, a pretty surreal part of it was the night of the shooting. We had these forensics officers upstairs because they shot 4 bullets through the windows into the upstairs, and then 3 through the front door that came. Those are the ones that came into the living room and stuff.
Hmm.
And upstairs was like all my comics and like we'd been moving stuff around, getting ready for trying to get the house sorted and all that. And so that room was just this total, complete disaster of just boxes of comics and like DVD, just everything. Just insanity. And so it was like me and these two guys just, you know, it's 3 a.m. and they're just searching for like bullets, you know, like in all this stuff, just like all these like, you know, police officers just moving around comics. I couldn't help them or do anything. I just felt so bad because it's like, you know, they're just like, why do you have this? Like, what is all this garbage? Like, how could you possibly want all these like boxes of comics and stacks of comics? Yeah. So.
Well, clearly it's to catch bullets, right? That's what they're for.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So eventually, eventually I'll find some bullets, and I don't know what maybe I can send you one. Yeah.
Thanks. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Autograph.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my news.
Yeah, that's
your big news. I heard is that you're read Japanese comic there.
Sorry, say that. You have to repeat that.
You read some manga there.
Yeah.
Or manga or whatever I don't know how you say it, but
I did. Sorry, I'm shifting a lot. I've got some, now that I've transitioned to an office job, all of a sudden I'm getting pains in my body that I never noticed before.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm going to be shifting and stretching my leg throughout the whole time here. Yeah, so I read the Chrono War, what was it? Is it 8 issues? 3, 4, or 9 issues or something? Yeah, something like that. 9 issues. It was pretty good. So I don't know. You have a bit of a history with manga, I guess, right? Like, have you read a lot?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like I think I'm trying to think what the right way to say it is. Like as a kid, I couldn't get that, but we would get the cartoons.
Yeah.
In Trinidad, we would get like everything there. I mean, it's, you know, like you would go to a video store and it's just these blank tapes, right? And they would just say Transformers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be like, okay, and rent it. And it would never be Transformers, and it would just be some, you know, some Japanese cartoon about robots, you know, or something like that. And so I think through that, I kind of got into it. And then they were airing Star Blazers when I was a kid. And I think that was probably my intro, you know. And then when I came to Canada, that was when like Robotech was airing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yeah, I kind of like did the sort of, you know, North American passage into it of that time, you know, like I was pretty, like, I definitely wanted it, and it was, you know, you got these kind of trickles. Like now I think there's a full-on kind of scene for it.
Oh yeah.
So you know, there's just massive, like tons of it's out. But at that time there were only you know, like this, I think it's Viz is the first. Oh no, Eclipse, that's the one I was thinking of.
Oh, okay.
I grabbed yeah, like this is one of the first ones I remember, this Area 88. So these guys Eclipse, I think this might be related to the same guy, this Torrin Smith. That's what I was going to tell you about. Mm-hmm. If you're curious, he's sort of an interesting guy to look up. He's kind of the guy that he was translating a lot of it,
okay,
bringing a lot of stuff over. So his sort of personal taste is very key to the sort of development of the, you know, kind of North American scene. I think that's like, you know, like he wasn't responsible for everything. Like he didn't bring, say, Akira over or whatever, but I think his sensibility, like what he moved to Japan, and I think what he chose to get translated, or what he translated himself and sort of brought over, really affected like how people see Japanese comics. There's like a kind of an odd discrepancy now. I think it's sort of cleared up a bit, but you know, there's a kind of the sort of like classic North American stuff is like Akira and Ghost in the Shell, and you know, they're like, you know, you're like, I want these kind of comics, but I don't think those are really, not that they're not big in Japan, but I don't think that's what their scene is. Like they kind of are more into different, like it's a different kind of comic they really want. And so those I think are sort of like, they really resonated here because they're sort of you know, Western style in a way. Not maybe Ghost in the Shell more the animation than the comic, but hey, whatever. But I think, yeah, like he did that. His company is Studio Proteus, so it's worth kind of looking around for, you know, these sort of, you know, the sort of floppy ones that have that SP logo. I think he probably did Chrono War. There's probably like a little SP on the corner there.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so he's like kind of cool. I went for a little while trying to learn the different books that he brought out that didn't quite make it. And there's some interesting ones, like Chrono War I think is probably the best one. I think this is good too, this version.
Oh, okay.
So it's sort of like a weird cyberpunky thing. It's like not amazing, but it's pretty cool. It's strange.
Mhm.
I like it. Yeah.
It's a good point what you said earlier about like bringing stuff to an American market and being kind of maybe a little more appealing to North Americans. One of the things that I really liked about Chrono War is like it was one of the things that sort of irritated me after a while with some of the anime that I was watching, where they really have this thing in some of the stuff that I've seen anyway, like the Dragon Ball Z's and maybe the more kind of mainstream stuff,
Mhm.
where they really draw out time. Like they really just make, for example, a couple of main characters are fighting and that one fight will last like 3 or 4 episodes
Yeah.
before a punch is thrown. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But taking that as a jumping off point, that's one of the things I really liked about Chrono War was like, it's basically they're trapped in this segment where
Yeah.
everything else is almost frozen around them. It's like a
Mhm.
second passing in real time, but for them, it's whatever, like a week or a month or whatever the time limits
Yeah.
were. I really like that aspect of it. Just that different twist on something that's kind of innate within their kind of storytelling. Because even a lot of
Right.
like Japanese movies and stuff, the way they use time in the movies can be a little not really off putting, but just not something that we're used to here. The pacing of things is quite a
Right.
bit different. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm reading one now, this I Am Hero,
uh-huh.
and it's really like that. Like it's, it's a zombie comic, so I guess you'd compare it to say Walking Dead, but Walking Dead moves so much faster. Even though I think people would probably say Walking Dead is a very slow comic, and it's like, probably people, when you read it monthly, it's almost agonizing, how little will move. But I mean, this is like a whole omnibus to get through a night. You know
Oh
what I
wow.
mean? Like it's just really, really, really slow.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's really cool, but you have to get into a mindset of like kind of churning through pages.
Yeah.
And it's strange because the art doesn't look like that's how you should like interact with it. It's really, really, beautiful and detailed and like, but it creates these sort of moments like that scene I was describing there. He goes to this. It's different. Well, I mean, I like it because it's their take on, like, it's an odd take on zombies. Like it's, so they're kind of a bit like, like The Grudge or something like that. Like they sort of,
Okay.
use their bodies all weird, and there's something kind of gross about it in a different way. It
Yeah.
follows some of the same rules, like, if someone gets bitten or they get blood in their eye or whatever, that sort of contagion or whatever stuff is the same. But I think the way he's trying to, like, what he's trying to do with it is strange. Like, he seems much more interested in the time between when someone's bitten and they become the sort of like, it's sort of close to like The Crazies, that movie, that Romero
I
one.
do. Oh yeah.
A bit
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that mixed with like a kind of bloated zombie thing. So you see people
Mhm.
just start like, there's a stage where they're kind of losing their humanity that's really strange. Like they still can kind of have like, they're talking about something and they're trying to say something, and then what they're talking about becomes like really odd.
Ah,
And then, yeah, there's like that part of it which I don't think anyone's really zoned in too much on.
no,
Usually it's kind of like,
they're on the bed and they're transforming, and next thing you
yeah,
know,
and then it's
yeah,
like they're like, oh, and then someone shoots them in the head or whatever. Like that
yeah, yeah,
stuff usually is how it goes, but this is like a long, like there's a scene where he's in a back of a cab with some other people, and they're kind of like, slowly turning, and you're just like reading this craziness, right?
that's insane. Hold that up again. I was talking over top of when you showed it. Let's see it again.
Oh yeah, I Am Hero. It's called. Oh, I Am a Hero. I Am a Hero. Yeah, it's
Cool.
really, really good.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like one of the new ones that I'm reading that I think is worth.
Worth checking
Yeah,
out.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's weird. The idea is that it's the main star is this manga artist who's he's got like he has a gun. I think he just had some interest in guns, and so he has like one of the only guns in Japan.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
he's kind of like this slacker loser that has like a shotgun, and he's very kind of isolated, and he's somehow, you know, kind of muddling his way through. Although, really, I mean, it's been 2 omnibuses I've read, and he's only gotten, you know, I think it's only like a day has
Yeah,
gone by.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But I mean, yeah, it's been a pretty good day.
yeah.
Pretty exciting, and there's a lot of unique ideas in it. I think that are fun. I think,
Well,
yeah,
even
I
that
mean,
alone, what you're describing is very cool. Like you said, it's this kind of angle that other cultures can kind of take from jumping
sure,
off points of, you know, that's the again, like it's the thing that I've always loved about Japanese cinema as well. Like it's the idea of taking these American ideas or whatever ideas or European
sure.
ideas, whatever it is, and just putting some sort of tweak on it that makes it completely their own and something really unusual, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, like I would say, you know, Walking Dead does that also. He's sort of
Yeah.
concerned, I think, with different issues than most zombie stuff, and so I think
Oh,
that,
for sure, absolutely.
although I think his, you know, he's using a very classic idea of a zombie. There's nothing particularly unique about that, but I think his interest is just in how,
Society and
yeah, like how
breakdown
society
and
breaks down, and what,
yeah.
you know, what does civilization mean, and like what are people, and are they good or
If we
bad,
had to
and
start again, what would that look like? That
yeah,
sort of
I
thing.
find I really like that comic. I think it's really
Yeah.
interesting. Do you read it?
I haven't read it for a long time. I was doing the trades, and I think I
Oh
made
yeah.
it up to book 13 or something. I don't remember exactly what number, but
Okay.
I was really, really enjoying it. But it hit a point for me where it was um I don't know, it just wasn't really doing much for me. It seemed a little
Sure.
stagnant. Like there was things moving, but it seemed to be
Yeah.
getting even like on a bigger base. There seemed to be an overall structure that was kind of a theme going through. I
Right.
know that I should give it another chance kind of thing because there was a lot of stuff I really liked about it. And that whole if this did happen, how would we be able to kind of connect again as a species? I really like that
Right.
angle of it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of this TV show I like, The Survivors. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Which
It's
one
like
is that?
a British show, I think from like early '80s or maybe late '70s.
Okay.
But it's about some kind of, you know, viral outbreak that just kills tons and tons of people. So like all these people get sick, and then it's like the numbers, like it's set in England, so it's just like, you know, maybe there's like 10,000 people left in England or something like that, and they're sort of trying to form these new communities, and it's about kind of the same type of stuff. It's maybe a little bit more. It's interesting in that their concerns are maybe a more sort of domestic concerns, which he doesn't seem super interested in. Like he's a little interested in it, but you know, just basically like, well, how do they fertilize plant like their crops, and you know, like all this kind of stuff that they have to figure out how to do. And
Mhm.
he's touched on it a little bit in Walking Dead, but
Yeah.
I think they have just a slightly different focus. But
Yeah. Yeah, it
yeah, I
has
feel
a
like
bit of a
for
bigger
me, Walking Dead
bigger
is one of
picture.
my. I only really just got into it, so I guess what happened for me is I didn't have the chance to burn out on it. In that, I just went in. I think last summer, maybe or fall, I was at a
Okay.
convention and got like some of those omnibuses for cheap. They were damaged, and I just, you know, read those 2. And by the end of the second one, I was like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then I think the third one had come out and it was new, and I got that. And then I just switched to single issues since then.
Mhm.
It's a different read in single issues. It's tough. Like
I bet it
I
is, man.
really like it, but it's sort of like you're like, oh yeah, and then it just stops.
Well, I even found that with the trades, right? It was the same thing, you know, like even
Yeah,
though you're getting a nice chunk of the story there, it still
yeah,
somehow didn't seem enough. Like, and it was again one of those books that as soon as I picked it up and read it, I was hooked right away. I thought it was just
yeah,
brilliant, you know.
yeah,
Um, I don't, you know, you don't necessarily need to do something different with the zombies. The fact that that played a part, but there was so much else going on. It was just great. The show I
yeah.
haven't kept up on either, so
Yeah, the show didn't really do it for me. That's the reason I stayed away from the comic. Was I wasn't. I think the show spends more time doing the kind of this, you know, the sort of stuff that's more like basic zombie setup.
mhm.
And I just thought, well, I don't care about this. I've already
Yeah.
seen movies about this enough times. It's not that interesting, and I liked it, and I just never bothered
Mhm.
to follow up on it.
Yeah.
But when I read it, I was like, oh, okay, it's not really about that at all. Like it's just sort of like he seemed to quite quickly move through that initial outbreak stage, like what was maybe a whole season on the show, maybe even more. He seemed to have gotten through that quickly and beyond to sort of at least kind of Dawn of the Dead territory, you know, when they're like in
Yeah.
in the prison and
Hmm.
you know, and I was like, okay, cool, yeah, it's like at least he's in that, you know, he's kind of deep into it. And then once it started getting further and further, I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. This is like even Romero's only kind of touched on this a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
He's kind of gone pretty far into it. I think it's yeah. Sorry, I'm like a glowing light bulb here.
Yeah, you are. The sun is coming out. It's a good shot. It's a good look.
I don't think it's anything I can do about it. It's just.
I think he's gone now, but a quick hello to Dr. Von Chilla was in here for a little bit.
Hey.
But I think
He's out.
taken off now. Yeah. He was here and then he left.
Yeah, there you go.
So just back to this manga thing. Another thing that always kind of turned me off of reading a lot of it is I mean, obviously we're of some similar mind when it comes to the things that we do enjoy reading. Like there's something about the dig, there's something about the unusual and that sort of thing that is appealing. A lot of the times because the art from book to book and series to series has a really distinct look, that's something that I always found kind of off-putting. That said, again, just back to the Corona War, because it's the most recent thing that I've read, there was some character designs in there that were very kind of, they were kind of like the usual kind of designs, but there was something different about them too. One of the main characters, the cop, for example, the way that his character was designed, just the look in his eyes.
Corona War, I think, actually has it has a, I mean, if I remember it right, people have a kind of weird fish-like look, don't they? Like there's almost like they're kind of, you know, like their eyes are sort of pushed like a bit wide and their heads.
Exactly. Yeah.
Weirdly, I Am Hero has the same look, and I don't know any other that have done it. I don't know any other mangas that have done it, but they have this sort of like. Here's a good one. You see that? Is that?
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah.
But the same. They have this kind of weird, like, fishy look, or like.
Yeah.
You know, like a sort of weird fetus or something.
Yeah, but also super expressive too. That's the thing. Like, it wasn't something that, I don't know, it somehow still looks natural. And then all of the alien tech that they're wearing throughout the whole series and things. There's not a really good shot of the guy, but some of those pages, just like you said, that kind of look in their eyes is right there. So
like almost like a bit like, you know, like they have like fetal alcohol syndrome or something like that. Yeah, I don't know what that style is. It's kind of cool. I've not come across it in any other series. It's like a unique, strange take.
I pulled one out because one of the ones that I was a big fan of, it's called I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Bakuni Young.
Oh, okay, yeah. I haven't read that. That's the black and white person, isn't it?
Yeah, the thing that I liked about it again was the same kind of deal. The fact that just the character designs were very unusual for a manga, right? And then they were doing some weird stuff like, where's that page here?
I don't think that is the black and white person. I'm not sure.
Like stuff like this with his, expression and then the multiple heads floating around and just a kind of
it's weird
sense of the character as opposed to, it's a very unusual. It's kind of like a gangster story. It's been so many years since I read it, but this Bakuni Young is kind of this lone character who's hired out to go after this other mob, that sort of thing. But just a lot of really, really unique design and things.
Yeah, that guy's cool.
Doing,
looks like a weird dolphin or something.
Yeah,
or a shark or something.
So, and it's nice to see stuff like that because, and I think it's the same with mainstream comics for me now too. It's always been there's like a house style, of DC or Marvel or whatever that, or Image and stuff that at any given time, it just doesn't do anything for me. It's really something that, I don't know, I kind of want something to stand out a little. I can see the appeal of having a certain universe if you're dealing with a broad group of books. They have a similar look, so they can kind of you visualize them in the same universe, but I don't want that. I want some expression.
Sure.
I want some, you know.
Yeah, I kind of feel like for me, I don't care at all about, like, I'm not a person that's trying to, you know, understand Japan.
Yeah.
So I don't care about what their scene for comics is. Like, I mean, I'm sort of interested in it because I've, you know, there's been so many comics from that I've really liked that I'm, you know, I respect that there's great stuff being made there, but I don't want to be, like, I don't think that I'm Japanese, and I don't want to really be like, well, now I know the, like, authentic I don't care. So for me, I'm like, there's just something that, like, I feel like there's a lot of, like, when I go to a store, you know, like 99% of it I don't care about. I'm not interested in it. Like, you know, there's like huge amounts of it that I don't read it, and I'm not looking at it, and so I feel like when I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I read manga, people are like, oh, you must like that, and I'm like, I don't really like it. I'm not interested in that. So that I know the stuff that I like is probably, you know, not super popular in Japan, or not, you know, well, maybe not. Maybe some of it is, but I don't care. Even if it's not, I don't care. You know, like, I think a lot of those ones that Torrance Smith brought over, like Chrono War, because of how short it is, it was probably not a popular comic in Japan. It's probably something that he read and was like, oh, this is cool. This would resonate with, like, you know, people in America, and he could get the rights to it for relatively cheap. So you know, I'm cool with that, with being kind of like out of touch with, like, one thing that's interesting, I when I was researching about him, is he was doing, you know, like, when they first started bringing those comics over, there wasn't a market really for them, so they would do what they could to try and sell them, and one of the things is flipping them, right? So they would, like, mirror each page, and then they would have to hire artists to, like, go in and, like, you know, tweak it all, and, like, it was a much more expensive process, I think, to do it before. And I think, you know, now, like, well, not now, he's died now, but in the later years of his life, I think he was sort of frustrated because he wasn't really very respected by this kind of new scene of real purists who are, you know, they're like, well, that's not the real thing. The real, you know, the authentic thing is, it's supposed to be read left to right and all that kind of stuff. And he was just like, well, you know, there wasn't a market for it. You can't really just be like, he thought, you know, there's no way people would be into a comic that reads opposite direction and all this kind of stuff. Now I think, you know, there's enough of a culture for it that people are like, yeah, sure. And it's kind of cool. Like, but I mean, doing that means they don't have to mirror the art, which means they don't have to, like, and also they don't even usually translate sound effects anymore. They're like, they look cool, the Japanese ones, so why, you know, pay someone to take them out, and, you know, so they just put it a little underneath, and all that stuff is, you know, things that have happened over time, I think, that are different.
Well, I mean, and of course, I think that's with anything. You know, you just introduce it, people get used to it, and then they, you know, because I mean,
you know, and then they just turn against the people that brought it to them.
Now it's everywhere.
Sorry?
There just wasn't lots of it, and now it's everywhere. Like, you go to Chapters, and there's a huge section of manga Chapters. You know what I mean? Like, anywhere, the library. We were at the library today, and they've got racks of manga, right? So it's everywhere now.
The thing I would say is that, at least for me, the stuff that I like, there isn't that much of it being made. So I don't feel like it's as overwhelming as maybe it would be if I wasn't. You know, like, sometimes when you're into something, you kind of are like, oh, actually, it's not that bad. Like I feel like I'm reading, you know, superhero comics to a degree now, and I'm like, oh, it's, you know, I have a grasp of it. Yeah. You know, and you know, and that grasp just means I don't care about most of it, but I kind of know where I'm looking for, and I try things out, and I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I know. But, you know, I'm sure if I wasn't buying it, I'd be like, why are there 9 X-Men books? You know, like, I don't. How's that supposed to work? So yeah, I get why, you know, you just kind of will say, oh, I don't want to deal with it. Just
totally.
Just to create some kind of space for sanity. But it's always fun when you're in something and you're just wasting money and, like, caught in it, you know.
Yeah, no, totally. What else have you been reading lots lately? I guess, you know, your time is kind of limited these days, but
yeah, I read on the train, so I have like an hour train ride. Well, a little, yeah, but basically I read about an hour and a half a day. So what's been really taking my time, this is I'll give you another little bit of crazy randomness is
Yeah.
that I'm trying to read this and I'm almost through it, but this little
Oh wow. Just some light reading. Just to
yeah, I'm almost there and it's awesome. And I
wow.
recommend it to people that it's great. Yeah, I'm like 3/4 of the way through it now, and
Yeah.
I totally understand why it breaks people and they bail on it, and why they get so frustrated with it. But I feel that all that stuff is part of what he's trying to do. Like he's trying to take you on a very particular journey through uh, a historical event, this like
Yeah.
invasion of Russia by Napoleon, and he's trying to be like give you a real sense of what that was all about. And he
Mhm.
does it in this sort of totally weird. The way I would compare it is like to like a '70s movie, like like say Deer Hunter.
Oh yeah.
You know how like it starts and you're at this wedding,
Yeah.
and you don't
Yeah.
know who anybody is, and you don't know why you're at this wedding, and you're kind of
Yeah.
like, like if you were 12 and trying to watch Deer Hunter, you just be like, this is the worst. Like it's so boring and pointless, and it's all old people. Like you just wouldn't care about it, and it's like
Yeah.
it takes a really long time before you kind of are like, oh, you know what? I kind of know these guys after their hunting trip, and then when the sort of movie's like, oh, this is what the movie's about. All that earlier stuff is really important, and it's
Totally.
yeah, you
Attachment,
get
things
this,
like that. Yeah.
yeah, and so it's important that you go through it. But yeah, I think it's one of those like it's just
Mhm.
bewildering and kind of confusing, and yeah, but it's really good. So
Cool.
it's
Wow.
not a comic, but yeah, that's my
Yeah. Of course.
anyway.
Yeah.
So
No.
that's been eating up some of my reading time because it's like the longer I don't read it, then I fall out of who there's all these characters, and I'm like, oh, which one's this one again? And then then you
Mhm.
lose. Anyway,
Yeah.
whatever.
That is one of the downsides of like digging through the bins for stuff is reading it all in a chunk, so it's not too kind
Yeah,
of drawn. Like 6 months later, you're reading the next 2 issues or something.
yeah. I will
So
say, I mean, it's if you want, that's the ultimate. This is like the ultimate bin. This is like $1.
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
$1 for like 1,500 pages of
Yeah. Yeah.
amazing. I would say it's one of the better. Like I got this. Oh, whatever. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I have been reading. I'm really into new comics now.
Yeah.
That's mostly what I've been doing. I kind of feel like it's one of those things. Like if I think about it, it's a total horrible use of money. It's a waste, and it's like really dumb. But the actually being in it and going to the store every week and all this stuff is really fun and addictive. And it feels like I'm like, oh yeah, this is kind of what this comics is about. Is you have all these books you're reading every month, and you're kind of like, yeah, this is good, this is not good, and you could talk to people about it, and
Mhm.
it feels a lot more fun, I think, than if yeah. And I kind of feel like the more you're into something, the more you find.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much stuff you just miss because you're like, like you always people like the sort of cliche where somebody will be like, oh, there's no good music anymore.
Mhm.
Like not like when I was a teenager and it was great, and
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really just like you lose interest and then you're kind of distant from it, and then you're like, I don't know, it must all suck. I don't care. So like the opposite is when you're sort of in there and whatever, you're going to see bands or you're doing whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like that. It's like a fun time for new stuff.
So are you
But
going every Wednesday? That's your
yeah,
routine
I go
now?
every Wednesday.
Nice. Wow.
I'm like pretty bad right now. I spend about $100 a week.
Mhm.
That's like which is like I can't justify. It's just like
Yeah.
hopefully my son will like comics and he'll get to read them, and they'll be like
Yeah.
at least two people got 10 minutes
Some
of entertainment
enjoyment
out
out
of
of
five
yeah. Yeah.
dollars.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean there's a good time. I think I don't know how you
So
feel about it.
what new ones are you reading? Like, are you going straight like Marvel, DC, or are you Image or?
No, I mean a little bit. I think yeah, like I was gonna tell you I thought you might like this one. I don't know if you've read it yet. The Few.
No, I haven't even seen it. Yeah, it's been so long since I've been to the shop.
I mean, I wouldn't say you got to get it new. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess you should for these
Yeah.
guys, but I'm sure it'll be around later. It's got kind of an interesting art style. If you can see that. how that's coming across. It's sort of like chunky-ish looking, and looks like it's done really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And they must be, because they put out like, it's like a huge issue you get every month. Unless they did it all in advance and now they're just releasing it, but it's kind of like a post-apocalyptic thing. It's not bad. It's good.
Cool.
It's like yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you're right though about the whole routine, right? Like that's what is fun about going on the Wednesdays when I have those few months where I'm kind of going weekly and checking stuff out. It's a lot of fun. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say my big ones right now, I love, Stray Bullets, I think is awesome. I don't know if you're much into that.
I've never read it, but it's one of those on the list that I've got to read because I just hear nothing but good things about it.
It's great. It's like, yeah, it's awesome. Every month has been, especially this like new story is just like, it's so, each issue is so crazy and intense, and there's so much going on, and it's really funny, and yeah, I love the art. The guy's like, just great storytelling.
Yeah.
Like I would take that over, the Brubaker Phillips stuff for crime things. Yeah. I mean, so I say that not to, disparage their stuff, but just to show that's like, for me, it's like the best of that. So that's a fun one I'm reading now. I don't know. I brought all this stuff. I have like this humongous pile of comics. There's no way we could possibly talk about all this. So I don't know if there's some kind of thing you're curious about, or like.
What are the couple of highlights?
I really like the new Superman stuff. I'm sure you've heard stuff about it.
I have, but I've also heard that it's been falling off maybe a little bit too. That it kind of had a peak and it's kind of drifting a little bit, or
I don't know. I like Super Sons a lot.
Yeah.
So that's new. I don't know. Maybe it's drift. I don't know. There's a new weird storyline that it's hard to tell where they're going with it. It's like the neighbor or something.
Okay.
It's weird. It's just strange. I like it. It's fun. It's yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Damien was big into that. I seem to remember him saying something recently on Twitter, just that it was kind of hitting a note that he wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Same thing, like maybe not quite sure where it was going, or not as good as it once was, or some sort of change, So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could see that. I guess he's usually like. I think he's probably a better judge.
He's I think he's a pretty voracious Superman fan too when it comes to comics. So
yeah. I'm just like, I'm like, oh, this is cool. I mean, I liked the Romita stuff too. When it was Jeff Jones and Romita. Whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Like I like this new Avengers this one a lot. I'm trying to tell Damien I think you should get it. This is like, I think, a really cool superhero comic. It's got these Mike Del Mundo does the art.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's got this weird quality that's like, like everything kind of exists in this sort of, I don't know what, kind of psychedelic dream world that's not.
Yeah, my son and I read the first few issues of it because I like Kang as well, and the fact that it was Del Mundo and Kang as a character.
Yeah,
Del Mundo's art is some of our favorite. Like my son really likes him as well too. It's right though. He really has a style that it exists in its own place, and it really does give everything this kind of quality. Like when he did the Weird World stuff, there was a real quality to that. I think he did a Bucky Barnes as well. That was fantastic as far as this. Again, it's about this idea of creating this alien world. He's that artist to do that kind of thing. I think he's got a unique style.
Yeah, I feel like I was saying to Damien, I think that he's, he kind of reminds me of Kirby. Like without being like a Kirby clone or anything, I don't think his art looks like Kirby's at all. I think he has that thing about it where you just feel like it's like I mean, I don't like, I'm sure he has, reference and stuff he works with, but you just get this feeling like he's just pouring the stuff out of his like subconscious, and that it's really not about it's like representing some idea of a thing, rather than maybe necessarily looking exactly like that. And
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I feel in a way like I don't even know. I mean, I like the stories. They've been good, but it may be just that it's just the whole experience of this book as a monthly has been really fun.
Yeah, totally. What issue is it on now?
Number 6, I think, is the newest. Okay. Maybe 7.
So we're actually
Yeah.
not too far behind. Yeah, because I think we made it.
Yeah.
I think we bought the first 3. I think is what we did.
Yeah, and I think I can't even tell. I think it's just called Avengers,
Uh-huh.
but it says, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the Avengers on the
Uh-huh.
cover.
Mm.
I don't know.
No.
I don't understand it at all,
No.
but whatever.
Yeah.
I just know that's the one I like, and
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sure they'll ruin it soon, and then I'll just stop.
Yeah, it'll tie into something and it'll be all over.
Yeah.
But it's a
Yeah.
nice chunk anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun right now. I mean, yeah, a lot of the same. I know I like Black Hammer and all that.
Yeah.
I like this book, this Aliens Defiance. I think
Okay.
it's been pretty good. It's Brian Wood.
Oh yeah.
It's very like, it feels like they could make a movie out of it, and it'd be a really awesome Aliens movie.
Mhm.
That's cool. Harrow County, I like. I don't know if you read much of this.
No, but again, that's another one I've heard nothing but good things. I don't think I've
Yeah,
ever
it's
heard
good.
anybody badmouth it.
Yeah. The only bad thing with it is I wish, in a way, I wish it was an image book so that it could always have what's his name? Tyler Crook.
Uh-huh.
He's the guy who does the watercolor paintings. They're so good. And when it's an issues with him, they really work better.
Mhm.
But, like occasionally they'll have like fill-in artists, and, it's sort of too bad. I wish they could, whatever. Just,
Yeah.
it is what it is, right?
Yeah, it's that rotating stable, right? That's always the thing.
Yeah. It's hard. Like sometimes they'll do it, like I think Moon Knight, they did a good job of figuring out how to make these rotating artists work, where they're kind of have made that part of the series, and it's worked well, but yeah, I don't know. They're a bit a bit disappointing.
Well, and that's why that image model has worked so well about taking the hiatus, right? So then you don't have to have these interruptions. I mean, sure, you got to wait a little bit for the story, but at least it's consistent, and the few creative people who are involved are getting their voice out there, right? So
yeah. And at the end, like I guess for people that are, trade waiting or whatever, they get they don't get a sort of mix of, I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ed's in the chat. Hello, Ed, and 64-page special. Hello,
Hi,
gentlemen.
Hi.
I read a couple issues last night, just while we're talking about painting and comics and stuff. I'm deep into this Moonshadow.
Oh yeah.
And holy crap, it's really, really good. I'm surprised at how much I like it. It's
okay.
It's a little dense. Like I can only read like 2 issues. I've been kind of reading it over the past 2 weeks or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
I can kind of really focus and read 2 issues. It's very wordy, but not in a bad way. Like it really just draws you in.
Right.
And the art, like the watercolor, the painted art and stuff inside is incredible, because it goes from sort of goofy, cartoony to just really, really beautiful, almost portraits. There's one of the last issues I read, issue 9, I think they introduced a new female character, and the first few times that you see her, it's like he just painted from a model. You know what I mean? It's really painterly quality to it, but it has this ability to like just pull you right into the story, because there's a lot of it they're talking to you, the dear reader, and that sort of thing, and it's always frameworked with excerpts from some prose or from some literature at the beginning, which I don't always get the references, because there's some of the things that I haven't read. But it's nice to kind of have this framework that leads you into the story, where it's just so engaging and it feels so comfortable at this point now, especially. It feels so comfortable to be reading stories in this world. Like, the characters. Yes, it is, Ed. Yeah, it's the 80s series. I guess what happened was Epic put out the 12 issues first, and then I think did a Vertigo, I think, reprint them. Then there was a one-shot that was kind of after the series. Many years later, they did kind of a one-shot kind of, I don't know if it was tying anything up, because I haven't finished the first 12 issues yet, so I don't know how it ends quite. But that idea of talking to the reader and really just bringing you in, and you're comfortable with the characters and the world, there's still enough mystery to kind of keep you turning the pages and stuff. It's really, really cool, and a nice mix of like sci-fi and fantasy, and they call it, an adult fairy tale, which is
Right.
I'll admit that phrasing kind of, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, when you have to call something that.
That's cool. You're into it. I feel like I chugged it a little too much, and it kind of irritated me, I think.
Yeah.
Like I think I might have read the whole thing, and like I tried to just do it. Yeah, like I'll just read like 5 or 6 issues, each. Like probably was like, oh yeah, I can get through this series in 2 days, and then I was like, fuck, it's taking forever, like I think I didn't quite like, I don't feel like I experienced it exactly right, and it was, I feel like I felt like there must have been something about the moment that it came out that was just lost on me going back, like I was gonna say I read Watchmen finally.
You did?
Which I hadn't, I'd stayed away for it for that reason. I just was like, there's no way I'm gonna like this. I'm just gonna, well, maybe I didn't think that. I just was just like, I just thought I would be disappointed or whatever. But
yeah, because of all the hype surrounding it, you mean? And
yeah. But I think it works on its own. It's good. It's like, it's an awesome comic.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. When I read that at a time that I read that there wasn't as much hype about it, so I think I love it. I think it's right up there with one of my favorite stories for sure. But I totally know what you mean by it just has this life of its own that's, well, it's never going to live up to those expectations. All I've heard is that it's classic. There's no way I'm going to like it,
Yeah, I tried that Miracle Man, and then that's what got me to read this, because I was like, I was pretty blown away by Miracle Man, and I mean, it's great. It's like,
Miracle Man's
I have nothing interesting to say about it, but I was like, this is great.
It really is. Well, it's that whole idea, the whole angle of looking at the superheroes, but it's also the tone that's almost like a little, I don't know, it's not malicious, maybe isn't the right word, but there's something about it, you know what I mean? It's like, it's one step closer to mainstream than like Veitch doing Brat Pack, you know what I mean? Which is on the other end of really kind of nasty and hostile almost, which I also love. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. But it's kind of somewhere in the middle of those two worlds, right?
Oh, I was gonna tell you, I read one of his too. The one Rez was talking about. This here, Abraxas, Earthman and Abraxas. That's good.
Is it really? Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah.
It's like just, I don't know. It's some kind of totally bizarre kind of psychedelic space thing. It's sort of his take on Moby Dick.
Is that the one that appeared in Epic or something, or?
I think so. Yeah, okay. I think that's right.
Yeah.
It's just, it's like, I don't know. They like skin this guy, and so he's like he's like a guy walking around with no skin, and they're it's just totally crazy.
Sounds
really wild. Yeah. It's different.
Yes.
I mean, the closest one is maybe Max Immortal. That's maybe the closest in vibe to this, but this is pretty strange.
Yeah.
It's really early too, I think. It's like 70s or something, maybe.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Let me see. Maybe I'm wrong, because if it was an Epic, I don't think it could have been that old.
Yeah, no, I want to say 80s, but I mean, what do I know? I could very well be wrong.
Yeah, it must be. Okay, yeah, I think they're talking about Epic in the back, so it must be that.
Yeah.
It must have been 80s, but still, it's quite early. It was good anyway.
Yeah. Ed is just saying it's been years since he's read Miracle Man, but it was great. Totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine that if I was reading comics that time, I would have been like, this is unbelievable. It's so, it's so weird and twisted and fun and yeah.
Well, and that's the thing with stuff like that. Even now, it has an impact. I can't imagine dropped in that time when it was coming out. What it would have read like as it was coming out. I mean, that's the thing I'll say about Moonshadow is, I think it is one of those books, as opposed to, the frustration of Walking Dead. It is one of those books where you do need that time, I think, to digest and then kind of go back into it. The later issues, they have a really good, they have a really nice, succinct way just on the front page, just to give you a little brief recap of what's been going on. Sometimes it's in like a a two-person kind of dialogue format. Sometimes it's written at you, and I like that just for that kind of little jump start. But yeah, I'm really, really liking it.
Cool.
Again, it's of that time. It's one of those things of that time period that
Mhm.
really, really works for me. Yeah. It's just the
I
right
liked
time in my life. I don't know.
I liked the same author. I can't think I J.M. DeMatteis or
Mateus?
something.
Yeah,
DeMatteis.
yeah.
There we go. He did one for Vertigo I liked called The Lost One, I think, or Last One.
Yeah,
Something like that.
you sent me that. Yeah.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Was it just
All
a
right.
it
Well,
was
then,
just a
yeah.
one shot? Was it just a one shot?
No, I think it's like 6 issues
Okay.
miniseries.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's I thought that was good. I liked it. I liked that one. I think clicked with me a little more than
Yeah.
Shadow, but
I really like the first issue that you sent. I haven't found any more of it. Yeah, that's yeah. I'll have to keep my eyes open for that. Good
okay.
reminder. Thank you. I'll add that to the
Yeah,
list.
yeah. It's. I thought it was good.
Yeah. Yeah, it has a very similar feel now that I'm thinking about it.
Mhm.
Just the way that he writes, just the his use of language and stuff is just really unique. It seems to be his own. You know, it is a
Mhm.
little more on the literary side as opposed to the comic. Here's the box, here's the bubble, here's this. You know what I mean? And written in
Yeah,
a very specific way. You know.
yeah. I
Yeah.
like. I was thinking. Trying to think if there's anything. Oh yeah, this thing maybe. Like this. You ever read any of this? This Drifter.
No, I didn't, but I recognize it. I've heard of
It's
it.
got a painted style that reads very differently.
Uh-huh.
Um, I always find that because I found for a while like I wasn't sure about painted comics. Like I just
Yeah,
felt
same.
like I would. Like I remember having like Arkham Asylum as a kid, and just
Yeah.
I think I thought it looked cool, and I would try to read it, and I just would never sink into my kind of stupid brain about like what was going on in it. And I felt like that with a lot of those old painted comics. Um, they were just kind of like these weird, like almost like illustrated books or something.
Hmm.
So I'm always kind of intrigued when there's like these painted things that you read quickly and they feel just like, oh yeah, that's just a comic, and you just, you know,
Yeah, it was the same, exactly the same with me. I for
yeah,
the most part, I saw them and it just didn't. Wow, that's not going to be something I'm really going to be into. And just my
yeah.
own stupidity and ignorance, just saying that.
I think the one I liked best was probably Meltdown. I don't know if you remember that one.
No, I don't
That
remember that one.
Havoc and Wolverine Meltdown
Oh, yes,
was,
I do. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
because
I
I've
think
got a
it's Kit
couple issues of
Williams
that.
and yeah, John Muth.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
that
that
one
was
looks great. I think I tried to read an issue and I wasn't really into it, but it looked
yeah,
fantastic. But
yeah.
I
I
mean,
feel
I
like
bought
yeah,
it
that's
purely for
probably
the
one
art.
that's best when you're 12 or 13,
Yeah.
and you're just like it's right at that age where I was like, oh yeah, I'm starting to like more adult stuff. So
Mhm.
like this painted X-Men is way more mature.
Way,
I've really stepped up.
way more mature. I've
Yeah, but
outgrown all
I
that
think
stuff.
yeah, that was
Look
the
at
one
what
that.
I'm reading now. But isn't
And
that
there's a
still
cool
worthy?
one called
Yeah, it
Blood
doesn't
of
matter. It's
Tail.
painted.
There's like kind of a cool one called Blood of Tail also.
Okay.
Um, that's I think DeMatteis as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it probably suffers from the same thing, but it has great art. I should read it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a bit more patience now than I did. Maybe.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it too. And even and the other reason why I only read 2 issues, last night I tried to read a third issue and my mind just was wandering and I started thinking about, work, and I started thinking about this and I started, and it was okay, I got to read that page again because my mind is drifting,
Yeah.
and so it's really like
Yeah.
a nice short little dose.
Yeah, I feel like there's something about the sensibility of that book that's not quite. There's sometimes like I get it from like Neil Gaiman's writing sometimes, and like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that book kind of hit me. It's just this sort of like jokey, sort of smart jokey way that
Yeah.
can just not sometimes just pisses me off, and I can't. I
Yeah,
think
no,
that's
it's
how
always
that book was. I was just like, just get out of here, like.
yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't hate it. I did think it was all right.
yeah.
I think it was kind of bugging me, and then I don't know. I
Yeah, no,
saw
for sure.
one day I'll read it again, probably as an old man,
Yeah.
and be like sobbing about how great it is.
We'll do a hangout then once that happens.
Yeah, old man hangout.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. GPAP is here. Hello, Gene, Polly's, Peter. How's it going? Ed is just saying, with Miracle Man, Watchmen, Brat Pack, The One, Martial Law, and a few others, they were deconstructionist superhero comics at a time when it wasn't that common, for sure. Yeah, and that must have been a huge thing, right? Like, again, I think it's also something a little more, because it's just, at the end of the day, fucking good writing. You know what I mean? Like, it really is, where even now it still resonates. It's still, and it's something that I've found reading these undergrounds and stuff again, that there's a lot of themes and things through there, as much as some of them are taking kind of like a fuck you type of approach, or a comical approach, or whatever. There's a lot of subject matter that is just as appealing now, you know, and it still sends a message even today as it did then, right? It's the same with these. We're still in a superhero kind of world, you know, especially now, more so with movies coming out and things and blah blah blah. But I think it's just good writing on their part too, you know.
Yeah.
Brat Pack to this day, like, I mean, I just think of Brat Pack, and it was just one hell of a read. It was just such a great read. It really worked for me. It was perfect for me, you know.
Yeah.
And then same with Max Immortal. I thought was just brilliant as well, you know.
Yeah.
Actually,
yeah, we gotta do some more Veitch.
Oh, absolutely, we do. Yeah, for sure, we do.
Yeah.
I lent Max Immortal to a friend of mine. He's a big Miracle Man fan as well, and he hadn't heard about it, and he devoured it in like 2 days and brought it back. It was like, oh my god, that was unbelievable, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, the one I want to read is The One. I haven't read that yet.
Yeah, I've got a few issues of The One, but I haven't read any of them yet, because it's one of those where I have like issue 2 and issue 5 or something like that. I want to wait until I get a good chunk before I dive into any one of them.
Yeah.
I don't come across them that much. They're not out there when I browse.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you'll find like, 2 or 3 at one time, and then not see them again for like 7 years or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it seems to be what it's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have the full run. I haven't read it either for that reason.
Yeah.
But now I need to actually go through my stuff, and I may have it all, like through picking, but it's been in these, runs that are so separated that they're just existing in different bins. They need to be consolidated and organized, and
yeah, totally. Yeah.
I think now that I got a baby, that's a good time to, that's really going to happen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. You have more than enough time. No problem.
Tons of time now.
Don't worry, baby. You take care of the crime, and baby, I'll be downstairs.
Yeah.
Just going through my comics. No big deal. I'll see you.
I need to organize them. Take me, 10 hours or so.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Uncanny Kyle Walker. Hello. Just kind of a lot of writing happening up here.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, just chatting with each other.
Cool. They've given up on us.
Yeah, those were the 2 big ones that I read. Did you do any? Do you go out for free comic book day? Do you ever go and travel around for stuff?
And I haven't done it. I should.
Yeah.
Check it out. The store that I go to, I don't think they do a sale for it.
Okay.
So that's what would probably bring me in. But my friend said he might grab me some stuff. He's going to one in where he is, and he said they always have stuff on. Like the stuff we get is like, the discount like essentials and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they do like 50% off the US cover is for their kind of like, that's like their delete essentials stuff, which is what you usually read, and then he'll get the like 50% off the 50% off.
Oh, okay.
So he'll come in probably. I might get some stuff on Monday.
Cool.
Like whatever the worst thing is,
Yeah.
From Awful Essential.
Yeah.
She-Hulk Volume 4 or something. I was like,
yeah. Awesome. Eat it up, yeah.
I got actually a whole bunch of Daredevil there recently.
Oh, did you really?
So I have the first 4 Daredevil essentials, so I might
That's cool.
Yeah. I might read them, and then I'll let you know my thoughts on Daredevil.
Yeah, for sure. So it's starting from the beginning, I'm assuming, is what you mean.
I think, yeah. And from what I could see online, it seems like those 4 are the best 4 of the essentials. I think there's 6 of them. Like, people like on like Amazon, I was looking to see the other ones. I was like, oh, well, how much? And they were like, people are kind of like, hey, this is worth reading if you want to see how bad Daredevil got. I was like, maybe I don't care.
Well, and that's the thing, like, because I've been kind of getting the early ones and reading them, it really is just a generic superhero book. I mean, I still
Right.
really like it. It still really appeals to me. But I think one of the main reasons that it appeals to me is because the Frank Miller stuff was so fucking amazing. Again,
Right.
it's one of those things, seeing where that influence came from, talking about all these other guys and how their dissection of superheroes and feeding off each other. It's the same kind of thing. You see some themes within those early books of his
Mhm.
low self-esteem or whatever, and his just little moments of it that are brilliant on their own, but you see those nuggets and they have way more impact because of what Frank Miller did with those kind of emotions and because of his inner struggles and stuff, and use
Right.
that as a jumping off point to, hey, okay, let's just do a whole bunch of other crazy shit on top of that, using that as a theme. Because yeah, I mean, honestly, there's some of those early issues that are just, they're just superhero comics. They're very generic.
Right.
There's nothing
Right.
really
Right.
mind
Okay.
blowing. But I still really like them because of that overall arc. It's nice to see the transition of a hero.
Right.
Because I don't really know if I'm trying to think if I've really followed many superheroes where I've followed them for a long, long stretch of time. I mean, I was always
Mhm.
kind of in and out of reading Batman comics, but he was, the stuff that I've read, even early and more recent, he's always still kind of the same guy to some degree. Whereas it
Right.
feels like there was much more of a transformation with Daredevil, and maybe that's me reading into it as well, but that's how I
It
feel
might
about
also
it.
be. I mean, Daredevil. Did he start in the '60s?
Yeah, I think the first one was what, was it 68? But I
Right.
don't
Like
quote me on
Batman goes back to like the '30s or something, doesn't he?
exactly. Yeah,
So it's like,
exactly.
you know,
And I
like
mean,
I
I
feel
haven't
like
read a
even
lot
my
of that stuff.
earliest Batman memories are like, you know, late '70s Batman or whatever, you know, which is like they've hammered on that for like whatever 40 years by that point, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
So they kind of already, you know, they've kind of honed it and figured it out,
yeah,
and then I don't know.
yeah. No,
Now
for
it's for
sure.
people to
Yeah,
ruin it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm curious to hear what you think about it when you dig into those.
Yeah.
So how many issues is per essential book? Like, is it
I'm
like
not
a
sure.
20 issue run or
I
yeah, okay.
think something like that, 20,
Yeah,
25 or something like that.
yeah. Wow,
That's
so
yeah.
that's a really good chunk of books then.
Yeah, I think it's like a around yeah. I could go get up and go and check it if you want.
No, no, it's
Okay.
just, yeah, if you knew off the top of your head, that's all.
No, I don't remember. I think it's something
Yeah,
like
okay.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're relatively all in a row with some, I don't know, annuals and stuff thrown in.
Okay.
Yeah. I tend to not really read the essential stuff too much. I should,
Hmm.
but it's like it's sort of like way too much comic in a way.
Yeah,
Like they're so dense, those old comics, that
yeah.
you know, like even one is just gonna like you know, you're
Break
not
you.
churning through that. Like just even one, you know, like one Daredevil probably would take you like 45 minutes or more to
That's
read it.
true. Yeah, no, you're totally right. Yeah.
So
It's
it's
like
like
a
to
totally
actually sit there
different
with a
experience.
stack of like, you know, it's almost like doing War and Peace, you know.
Yeah, totally. It's true. Yeah.
You're sort of like, yeah. But I mean, they're fun to look at, and I'll read them little bits here and there.
Mhm.
I love kind of flipping through them and just seeing the like absurd old stuff in them.
Totally. Or just seeing again, like the progression of people's art and that sort of thing. And
Sure.
especially with the
Yeah.
essentials, aren't the essentials are all black and white as well? Is that
Yeah, they're all black and white.
okay? Which is a great way to see some of that stuff, you know?
Yeah, there's some really cool. Uh, I'm trying to think what the artist's name is. Maybe Gene Colan, is that his name?
Yeah, yeah.
There's some real cool stuff around when he's drawing it. You know, like I mean, not quite like Frank Miller kind of level of black
Yeah.
and white con, but it's kind of moving towards that. You know, like there's these big black shapes everywhere, and you know,
Hmm.
it's cool. And I may start with the later ones. I may do 3, 4, and then come back and do 1, 2 later
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because it seemed like it has a kind of vibe in those two that looked kind of cool at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Samuel Trejo is saying he just read Born Again and it felt wordy. And then,
Which one's Born Again?
that was the Miller stuff, wasn't it? Sorry, just got to stretch out my leg here. It's an odd.
Oh, is it Daredevil?
For a while. Yeah, yeah.
I haven't read the Miller Daredevil stuff actually. I don't think.
Oh man, yeah, it's great
Okay.
stuff. And then Ed was saying something that's interesting is the 1963 series by Alan Moore and Rick Veitch. It was an
Oh,
homage to
okay.
Silver, Marvel, and DC comics while satirizing some of the questionable editorial content. They never got to do the big conclusion they planned. That's cool. I've never heard of
That's
that
an
one.
Image book, right? I think.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Ed, is that an Image book? Let us know there in the comments.
Okay.
I've never heard about it. Um, And then he says it's definitely true about how dense older comics were. It's funny how long a comic from the 1960s, 70s takes to read versus a modern decompressed Marvel comic. It's true. Well, I mean, then you just think of like the panel layout and the page layout. You'll get,
Yeah.
thinking of guys like Del Mundo specifically, where a lot of just beautiful shit is happening on that page
Mhm.
with a few sparse words here and there. So, but yeah, I mean, those old ones, it's like every single square has some nice dense reading to do. And then
It's kind of
sometimes
cool. I mean, when I think
not
back
really
to
saying
like,
much.
yeah, I'm thinking back to comics. I like how, that in a way, I mean, I don't miss it because I do think, I do prefer modern comics, but there was something kind of neat about the way time would work,
Yeah.
where like a character would say like, "Oh, we got to go do this," and then the next panel would be like all of them, in their ship or whatever, flying or whatever to the thing, and then the other guy'd be like, "Yeah, we got to do it," and then they would be like, the next panel would be like they're there.
Yeah.
Like so much, like these huge word balloons of like explaining everything and
Yeah. Every last
like
detail.
days are compressed into like 3 images.
Yeah.
There's something neat about it. It kind of, I remember when I was younger, I used to watch like soap operas with my mom,
Hmm.
and there's something kind of cool there too, where they like there's all these sort of like weird senses of time where like they run kind of concurrent to reality. Like when it's Christmas time, it'll be Christmas time.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like in real time, but then like a single conversation would take like a week.
Hmm.
But then also there's all this stuff where like like little like kids, like I would see them born as a baby and then they would grow up way faster than me, and then they would be like 20 and 30, like once
Yeah.
they have a character, they just want to like advance them to like 18 or whatever so they can start having relationships, and so they just
Yeah.
kind of
Exactly.
fly through.
And killing them
So
off.
you have this real yeah, it was kind of fun. I always like that.
Well, and
But I
yeah.
think that there's something kind of fun with comics where it's even like how fast are you supposed to read them, how like there's something kind of cool about that I think other, but I mean, I don't think books really have that quality,
Mhm.
because there's nothing that, I mean, I guess maybe the sentences could do it, but not really. Like it feels like they're punctuated, like there's like a rhythm to the comic, and then you kind of can read them faster or slower, but you kind of keep
Yeah.
that beat of what they're setting up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think it's like so many things that it's learning the language of whatever it is that you're kind of diving into, right? And it's
Yeah.
it's amazing. I've been watching a lot of videos on modular synthesizers lately,
Okay.
and just trying to break into that world and the terminology. And but it is, and same when I was doing the gaming and stuff like that, like the
Yeah.
the TSR games and all those kind of things. Um, it really is like breaking into another species almost, because they have their own unique way of talking. There's rules
Right.
that
Right.
surround it. So it's the same with the comics too. Like if you don't know the language, if you're trying to break into the language, it can be a little daunting. Forget about the fact that you're breaking into a world of characters that you might not know, and they all interrelate and what happened to them before. It's endless as far as what you can kind of experience with it. But even just breaking into the dialogue, especially with the early stuff, because it's so dense and wordy. um, well, maybe not especially, I shouldn't say especially, but I think all sorts of eras, it's tough breaking in if that's not your language, you know what I mean? And then it's
Yeah.
either gonna work for you or it's not going to work for you. So, but I think that's part of the fun too, because I mean, part of the fun about exploring the games and exploring the modular synths and stuff is that I don't know where my footing is. Okay,
Yeah,
now I know this little nugget, so I know what he's saying when he says that, and I listen to that trigger word, and then I can follow it to the next logical step or whatever. But I don't know. I find it really fascinating to learn that stuff, and it's still
yeah,
English, but I have no fucking
yeah,
idea what
yeah.
you're talking about.
Yeah, I know it's cool. I always feel like I don't know if you're like this. I feel like I want to like everything, you know? So I feel like when I don't like things that there's something like I see that as some kind of, lack in myself
Yeah,
somehow
yeah,
that like
that's
I find
interesting.
it really like when I get into something, I'm like, oh, like you feel like this world is revealed to you and you kind of can
Totally.
connect to people and that stuff is really fun, like where people are just so, like they're so enthusiastic about something and yeah, you feel like that process is really I really like that in
Mhm.
yeah, so it's
That's an interesting thing to put it like that too, like because I've had that similar thought too. That if I don't understand or appreciate something, it's like, well, it must just be me. I
mhm,
don't understand what they're trying to tell me. I don't understand
right.
what's going on with this, so I should try to
Yeah,
figure it out. And even if I do figure it out and it turns out, yeah, no, that's not for me, but it
yeah.
really starts off as like I'm
Yeah,
not
I feel
grasping this like I should be.
yeah, I feel like there's comics that I read like now, I feel like that about Black Panther. I don't
Mhm.
know, I just don't understand it. I don't, but I feel like I want to understand it, so I just keep kind of sticking with it, and I'm
Good.
like, it's sort of growing on me in a weird way. Like I feel like it might just get amazing, and be like, oh, that's why I had to, wade through like
Yeah,
10
yeah,
issues
yeah,
of this
yeah,
like totally confusing stuff. But
yeah.
yeah, or I just read today this thing. You read any of this book, this America?
No, I don't even recognize it.
It's some weird new Marvel thing. But I was like, I'm like, I think maybe this is an author who hasn't written a comic before. I'm like, the tone of this is really really weird, and I was like, I think it's not good, but I might stick around because it's so weird. Like even the way it ends was strange. Like they always do this thing where like it's only issue 2. Something happens at the end, like it should be pulling me into getting the next issue,
Mhm.
but it just kind of was like, oh, okay, it's all done. Like I could just stop reading after issue 2 and feel like I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm like, maybe it's just maybe I don't know who this is. Gabby Rivera. I don't know who she is, but
Yeah,
maybe she's new to comics.
yeah, yeah.
It's just a very strange read, and I kind of like that. I don't know. Sometimes you figure things out. Uh, I don't know.
Well, and I think it also goes back to what you said before. It's one of those things that sometimes the journey is necessary. It might seem a little dull, but all of a sudden there's going to be an issue where it's like, holy shit, everything twists and
Yeah,
everything drops into
I'm
place. You
trying
know
to
what I
think
mean?
now. Hers isn't dull. It's just like the tone is all over the place, and it's very
Okay.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to like. It's I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Book. I was really eager. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna totally drop it. This is
Yeah.
cool. It's like another because I'm starting to get that thing where like the comp, like every week I'll drop. I'll be like, oh, okay, okay, I'll get my issue of America next time, and
Mhm.
then they're kind of like this silt in the pull file that's just collecting, and then it's like what am I getting? Like, oh my god, I got to buy like all of just a big huge chunk of stuff I didn't really want.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
know?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of but I'm like, oh, there's something to it. It's kind of fun. It would
Yeah.
be really way better to do for $1. So I
Mhm.
may just, but I also kind of feel like I don't know if you get this. I feel like there's some of these titles where you're like the only people reading them. It's like I don't
All
want to
the
bail on
time.
them. I'm like it's gonna just, I've seen some image stuff die recently, and I was like, oh, yeah, if you forget.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, and that's classic for the comic shop that I go to. I know that there's some stuff that I've asked him to bring in that I'm the only fucking guy that's asking him to bring it in. Luckily,
Yeah,
some of it does okay, or he just, I think like Mad Balls for an example. I think he was only bringing in 3 issues of that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I don't know how many issues he brought in of the Fantagraphic superhero stuff, but it sure as hell wasn't a lot. Space Riders, the same thing, or Raiders rather, same
Yeah.
thing. I don't think they were bringing in that much of them.
Are you doing that new series as monthly?
I have the new series, but seriously,
Yeah.
I haven't been to the comic shop for, I swear to you, 2 months. I haven't been to my comic shop.
Oh, okay.
I know that I have a stack there, and I'm
Okay.
starting to feel guilty about it, but I just haven't been there to pick anything up.
Yeah, I like the first issue.
Yeah.
I'm nervous because I feel like Black Mask is so hard to get.
Yeah.
And it sucks to have to get the one issue, you know, like, and order it from somewhere and pay like,
Well, and that
I
was
don't know,
the thing
12
when I
bucks or
first
something
got
for it.
into it, was that exact thing. Black Mask I wasn't seeing on the shelf, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden it started making a little more of an appearance and dropped off and came back and dropped off, you know what I mean? So so Ed is saying that 1963, it was an Image thing. It was a few different titles, and they even had parodies of the old Marvel bullpen bulletins. The conclusion was going to have Jim Lee art, and the premise was going to be the 60s characters came to the 90s, and they're shocked at how things are.
Right.
He also says he gave up on Black Panther. There were interesting ideas, but I think the author understands the character.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't understand it. Like, I read Black Panther when I was a kid, and I had maybe like 2 issues of it, so I know next to nothing about him.
Yeah.
And I feel like the author's like really into Black Panther,
Mm-hmm.
and it's probably doing some kind of like, you know, like when Morrison did that Multiversity.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
you feel like there's this massive amount of work going into like trying to make all this stuff work together. But if I'm like, I didn't know what I didn't know what he was talking about, so I just was like, what the hell do I care about like 30 Earths and how they can, you know? I was just like, what is all this, you know? I liked it. It was just, but for just the, you know, freak show that it was,
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I got it. But with Black Panther, it doesn't have that sort of like craziness, you know? Like, it's more just, I'm like, what? I don't know what this is. Like, it's just, yeah. It's so complicated. I feel like I'm learning about this place that doesn't exist, and I don't know why I'm spending my time learning like the history of this place. It's totally nuts. But I think it's kind of funny. Like, there's no fighting.
Yeah.
There's all these things that I think are kind of cool. Like, I like that there's like, I don't think there's a single white person in the whole series.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. Like, I'm like, he's just like, you know what? I don't care about this.
Yeah.
you want me to write Black Panther? Here you go. It's like,
yeah.
I thought he was going to be like, in New York or something. I don't know. I don't know what I thought was going to be going into, but I'm just like, this is like some weird history of a place that doesn't exist, and it's totally pointless. But I'm in there.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's part of the fun too. Getting into somebody's head, like what they see in something, and how that what it is that they're trying to tell you is the other part of the whole thing, right? Like, goes back to the communication thing. I want to know what you're trying to tell me, and I want to be able to understand it, you know?
Yeah.
Ed also says he read America and gave up on it. He liked the hero, but it's a bad comic, is what he said.
All right. Well,
he also said, sorry, I meant to say that the Black Panther author doesn't understand the character. His impression is that he doesn't understand the character.
Oh, maybe that's true. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Dr. Von Schill is back. Howdy, Doc.
Hey.
They're talking about Panther's Rage. You want some Black Panther? Panther's Rage in jungle action will blow everything else away that you think you're going to find, is what Doctor says. So,
all right.
I think I've heard him talk about that before, too.
That's the 70s one, right?
Yes. Panther's Rage, jungle action. It's not rocket science, is what he says at the end.
All right.
All right, Doctor, we'll get it. We'll get it. Yeah.
You got a prescription.
At least I can read it. Okay. I'm going to have to wrap it up. Sorry, my leg is killing me, and I really need to stand up.
Yeah.
I'm dying. Thanks very much, though, JZ. It was great.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. This was fun.
Yeah, no, for sure. Let's, we say it all the time, but let's try to do this semi-regularly.
Sure.
Although once every 6 months is pretty regular, you know.
Sure. Yeah. Sure, whatever you think, man. Just let me know what you want to talk about, and I'll...
Yeah, for sure. Well, even if we just chat, whatever.
Yeah.
It's fun to chat.
Sure.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. 7 viewers right now. Thanks very much.
Wow.
And I'm going to push the red button. Don't go anywhere yet.
All right. See you, everybody.
Okay. Thanks. See you later.